Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the fifth scenario of Empire Railway 2, the first Overland route. There are no concessions on this map, so we will use a rapid expansion strategy. This map is all flat until we reach the mountains, and we will be sure to develop the easy areas well before we use our earnings to conquer the west. And notice that these mountainous regions, they become more and more profitable as we have already connected a lot of other cities, as every new city that we now connect in the mountains later on will connect to all of these cities, making it profitable to develop hard areas a little bit later in the games. Looking at our mission objectives, we see that first of all, we have to grow Omaha a bit. In the beginning, these cities can only receive a maximum of 8 different goods. And when we are, our objective is to make 9 available. We see now that we only have these 8 basic resources on top. And then it has to reach 35,000 before we can deliver the 9th milk to it. So there is no particular point in connecting to this resource right away, rather connect to something else, making sure that it grow. And the way that I make sure of that is to connect Omaha to 2 different circles. Both this giant circle over here was managed to complete that, and also a smaller circle down here, connecting it this way. Then, of course, in order to afford all of these rails and also some locomotives to put on them, they had to be built in like single lanes, all going in one direction like this. As soon as the connection bonuses start rolling in and we start making some cash, we will develop this into 2 lanes going in both directions. But when one has these 1-lane tracks, which are very nice in the beginning because it allows you to connect so many cities right away and start growing them, start having at least some coming in and also having all the connection bonuses coming in. But it's important then to notice which way would be more beneficial to have it. And I would say that this way for both going from Omaha to Sioux Falls and Kansas, like this. And the reason for that is that we have this cow livestock resource over here, and then the livestock goes to Omaha, like that. If it had been going in the other direction, the livestock would have to go all the way around here. Some livestock here as well, but that will be a very, very, very long haul. And same with this wool resource going down to Kansas. 1-lane tracks are never optimal, but it's a good way to start at least. Then the prioritization would be that as soon as money start coming in, we will build up some warehouses to make sure that these resources are not only coming into the local cities, but being redistributed from that city onto all of the net. And also here, in between these 2 zones in Omaha, we will build one. And then later on, we will add upon maintenance depots and supply depots, and then we will be able to afford to lay another track around this and to make it into a proper developed zone with trains going in each direction. Looking at tech, we see that we are sort of early in the game, and early in the game is much harder. We have fewer bonuses and we have poorer locomotives. It will be harder to make more money. Should always be a good idea to go back and have an overlook, see if there are some early cheap techs, like this one, for example. This is very nice, just increasing the ticket price a little bit, 100 invention points. Really nice. Picking up on this first, perhaps. There are no bonds tech here, but this is also good. Increase revenues from both mailbags and passengers. Very profitable. But then we noticed that we don't really have access to all these fantastic trains. The best one is this freight train, actually, Baldwin 10-wheeler, and then there is consolidation, which is also a freight train. So we'll just have to use freight trains even on these very flat tracks. There is this one as well, but it has very, very, very low tractive power. So even too many passengers can make it slow down. And to use this on a mixed line, it would be very much slower than the freight trains, because it doesn't have the tractive power to carry goods. Goods are much more heavy than passengers. And so then, 15 months later, we have been able to achieve what we set out to build this double line all around both of these two zones, like this, which might be the most important thing. Also added upon a couple of maintenance depots, a lot of maintenance depots, warehouses in different places. Also be able to afford a few post offices. I'm not quite sure if the post offices or the restaurants are the best, but I'm making more money from mail, and it gives a higher bonus. It's 20% on the mail and only 15% on the restaurant. So I'm not quite sure about that, but nice to have some comments if somebody's figured this out. With the warehouses and such, can have a quick look at the flow of goods. Very important with the flow of goods, particularly now through Omaha. See how we connected this milk to give the ninth resource to Omaha to achieve our mission objectives, but also other goods now coming in through the Omaha warehouse. Warehouses can be used sort of in many different ways, but two different ways would be that this warehouse down here in Sioux Falls, it only sort of moves this resource to be in this city. There are no further connections. There are no cities on this system. This system only consists of this single resource going down to this city, and then sort of now this city is a sugar city in some ways. But here in Omaha, this is between two zones, and now transport from one zone to another zone, doing pretty much the same job, moving resources, but this one is more like a transition warehouse, while this is more of a moving a resource warehouse. This zone, of course, this enormous path that we built around Casper, Cheyenne, Denver, North Platte, Omaha, Sioux Falls, Pierre Rapid, it's way too big, and of course it left us four very nice resources in the middle. So we had to build 3 of these stations in between, and then to make for us a spider web in between a circle. If the circle is too big, then one sort of builds something nice in the middle, and one can see, I think, already that these trains are getting quite busy now. We just been able to complete a 2-rail track all over. Haven't really finished the sort of spider web star shape thing in the middle. Going to have some extensions into Casper and Denver as well, so that all of the cities inside the circle that are already connected to each other through the circle are now also connected through this system in between. And these two systems are entirely separate of each other, so that if one resource goes on to the outer system ring, then it's not also in the middle. So then, to avoid for this confusion that can arise sometimes, see perhaps with sugar coming in here and also in there, that's okay, because this is on the same line. It's just been moved down to this line and such. But say now with corn, one can be thankful that the corn is now on. If this corn here were to go into the same system, then it would sort of jump back and forth and could make for a mess. One have to be careful about that. Spending a lot of time checking on this flow of goods. If one make the system like this, there are other ways of transporting goods to cities, and so it doesn't sort of use this mixed line so much, more have passengers and freight very much separated. that might leave you for unused capacity, which might not be so good, but might be make sure that the trains are at least yellow, not too many green trains, and at least not these warning triangles that say that the train has been waiting for too long. That is really unprofitable. We were lucky to achieve an extra connection bonus down here. Sometimes when you just leave these resources be for some while, build up some demand, then one can build them for free because one get a little extra bonus. Looking at tech, we see have progressed a little bit, but be careful now. If one takes, as soon as one takes the express train and buys it, then one might lose out on the already existing express bonuses that one might have, or the opportunity to get new express bonuses. I had express bonuses on this freight train because it was a fast track and it wasn't delayed when I had enough tractive power, and it was having an express bonus. But as soon as this one comes available and people start realizing that there are a faster way to travel, then they will not recognize that as an express train, the previous one. And I wouldn't want this one and change it with this, because I need attractive power. When I could need this express train, it's because I built extra dedicated express lines. If I turn this into a 4-lane track, then it would be very nice to have an express train, but I can't really afford that yet, so I'm gonna postpone on buying the express train, and rather trying to achieve some express bonuses on my other trains. Very important now to remember these settler bonuses and such. Looking at the mission objectives, we are now to grow Cheyenne, and of course Cheyenne would definitely need a settler bonus. And settler bonuses might seem expensive, $500,000 to give a settler bonus to a really small city. But still, remembering this, that we are making the money primarily on express goods. And express goods comes from cities that particularly have grown a bit. In the beginning, freight goods might actually be more lucrative because the cities are so small, but then freight comes in, but then your revenue might drop a bit because supply are being filled. And then slowly the city grows, and then the passenger and the mail comes, and then you become really rich. But it's important then to reach that stage fast, where the cities are actually producing a bit of passengers. And then to have Cheyenne now popping up, you can see there's only 7 passengers, 7 mails. Not so very much, but it's growing really fast. It has double growth, and its fulfillment is over 75%. But look now, say with the Omaha, which have been really growing nicely from being connected to 2 circles early on. 80% fulfillment of demand, more than 80. And looking now at, wow, let's look at all these 35 passengers going to Topeka, Kansas, 28. All of this, particularly the closest cities now, really being supplied a lot. And they're making much money on this. This is the way to really make money. And then, of course, the passengers, that might be extra lucrative to have them go into hotels. Like this now, when we have this spider web. We have a warehouse too. Would have been nice to have 2 warehouses to particularly dedicated distribute, but I really dig on the maintenance depots, so there has to be a maintenance depot as well over here. 80% might be too much, 70%, but then 80 is not so bad. It's much better to have a lot, like 100, for example. Every time a train stops at a maintenance depot, it's going to get its maintenance. But I would say 70 is perhaps best, but not too little. Hate breakdowns. So putting up these hotels, and to make sure that all the passengers are going back and forth, and that we are steadily making money on that, so that we later on can take on this region, further develop more proper cities. They might seem small and insignificant right now, but with the proper connections and settler bonuses, this might be rolling on very soon. And then later we will get into the mountains. Mountains are not only expensive to develop, but very often one will have make less money from these regions. It's impossible really to make these really perfectly nice regions, but like this, when you are in the mountains, one has to sort of build along with the terrain here. And so, after almost 2 years of gameplay, October 66, we have been able to complete this new zone, the new small city zone down here. Have a quick look at this. They are coming along very well. Settlements only need the wheat, close by it here, make sure that, and it needs the lumber. Coming in a lot of lumber from over here, very nice. This one Dodge has actually 2 lumbers, and then of course to have the meat as well. And then this zone is just perfect for popping up new settlements, making them become cities. And of course, all the previous cities that we have are also now connected to these cities, and more passengers will be coming down in this direction as well. And we are making good money, steadily becoming more and more. I was pretty pleased with that. Then looking at the mission objectives, see how we have fared then. Achieving the express status on a rail, and then found 4 cities, and further on develop Cheyenne. Cheyenne is coming on really well. As we can see, 100% fulfillment of demand. That is actually a little bit difficult, but we made it. And also coal now coming in as it needs that as well. And then to build this up into the mountains, just be careful when one is building to really, it is all, the trick is all in placing these stations. Really, really, really look closely at the terrain. Never to have the station sort of go in like this. Look now at what happens. This will be a horrible tunnel thing coming straight out of the tunnel. And that's the worst. Because then you wouldn't be able to have any grids either. One needs to have a bit of free space as one goes in, but to spend time. And if the station is placed neatly, then laying the tracks are no problem. But if you place these stations awkwardly in some way, you can have the most expensive and poor tracks ever. Having a look if you made some like this. Poor track. I have to fix this, I think. Place the stations a little bit differently. It's not so much of a problem going a little bit back and forth like this, but this is problematic. I started out sort of fine here, but then I sort of dug into the mountain more and more, and now I cannot have gridirons here. And gridirons are really important because usually the delays and the blockings are around the stations. It's because the station is already full, and then another train comes behind it, and then it blocks it. But if one has this, then you can sort of, if there is no train in the other direction, it can use both direction at the stations and then go back, and that makes for you can have much more trains and much less delay, much smoother flow in that way. Even though as the longer these gridirons are, the more of the track is sort of turned back into a one lane. Only one train can be on this long now because it's sort of crossing over, and then the other train coming in the other direction have to wait. Quick look at the flow of goods. That's the most important thing, at least with this strategy. You can see now that there are 2 different systems. I've sort of completed the system, the web inside, that brings the wheat from these 2 resources into all of the cities from the inside. And then now here, one might have to be a little bit careful. There are 3 warehouses. Let's see what is coming in this warehouse. Only the wheat. Then is there wheat here? No wheat here. Only the lumber comes in here. The lumber comes in from up here. And then here is both lumber and wheat. So now lumber is coming from up north and sort of jumping over this middle station here and onto the inner system, the spider web, and being further distributed like this. go also through this warehouse in the middle here, which is getting really, really, really busy. While the wheat is sort of coming from inside here and jumping over in the opposite direction. While the lumber, I also wanted to have on the say the circular track. It goes on. So then with 3 warehouses, one is able to sort of choose where the goods are going in a better way. It might be a little bit advanced, some of these techniques and such, but if one can study it a bit and see if it doesn't work out. Take heed of these warnings. If there are yellow warning signs, this is bad. And once you say, oh, but this is part of my strategy and there's no problem with them waiting. Yes, it is a problem with them waiting. Personnel expenses are running all the time. Personnel is expensive. So try to make sure that the trains are busy and not waiting, and not if there are yellow triangles, the orange triangles, not so bad. They're just little notifications, bonuses, and waiting to be deployed and such. So move out of the screen. But the yellow one, it doesn't. Yellow one are serious business. And so then, only a little bit more than 2 years of gameplay, we have reached an absolutely fantastic score this time. Not only chief executive, I only put out things where I have top score, but then also a total score of almost 150,000 more than the highest ranking. And we still haven't completed all our optional tasks yet even. We still have this to deliver 4 loads of liquor to Ratoon, which might take some time because liquor comes in a little late in the game and the Ratoon is still sort of undeveloped, so I haven't really done that part, but one can see from the solution that we have built that Ratoon will be coming on fine. Not quite now, I just very recently been able to develop this latest area because I had to spend an absolute fortune on turning Casper into this industrial haven. It has both the iron down here and the coal up here, so then it would be perfect to just produce the steel and also the tools. It has wood here as well, so produce steel and tools to bring on to Promontory Point, and also if there are some excess to bring to all of these other systems that we have around here. And have a quick look at the mission objectives and see how we fared here. Delivering the coal to Cheyenne, no problem at all. Coal is just up north. And then theories are growing very well when one connects these circles, so I didn't even pay heed to it. And then we had to transport this single train line. I want to emphasize that it has to be a single train line connecting Omaha, Cheyenne, and Salt Lake. And I'm not a big fan of these long lines. Special delivery. It goes from Casper directly to Promontory Point, and from Promontory Point it can bring passengers, but from Casper it only brings 4 tools directly. So there are no delays when I'm achieving my mission objective. But then this thing from Omaha now over here. Let's see if we can find it. It used to be a mixed line. I like to have these mixed lines going in my spiderweb system in the middle. But now it has to be changed into a passenger line because this is way too long to be having any freight on it. We can see now what happens to our flow of goods if I turn this into a mixed line, which I would prefer in many ways, but then say with wheat, for example, wheat is now picked up through these warehouses over here in Grand Junction and going like this. And then now wheat is also picked up here from the middle from this enormously long rail. And now wheat is going through these Rocky Springs and down to Grand Junction. But Grand Junction already has its own wheat. So then this wheat will now go up into Rocky Springs, back, and all the way and start supplying Omaha. And that would make for this back and forth tendency during the Rock Springs warehouse here that will overload the warehouse, and then everything will crash. It's already, you can see that there are problems there. I have to take particularly care of this. No back and forth. That is the worst. Can have a quick look at the train usage. See how this is. I always prefer to have it put here, but it turns off every time I load the game. It's a little bit annoying, but to have that on is, I think, it's a good thing. So you can see the trains are already being sort of overloaded. I'm trying to put less and less resources on this line here. But a few are needed, the ones that are sort of within the circle, but less and less, and trying to have more and more passengers on this inner system. The passengers really dig on these short distances, like a short distance between Platt and Pirée here, just going through the Ward Hotel, making us extra money, being extra nice. And a quick look at this, we have this extra little line here. I think these are sort of neat. They bring the goods sort of to both cities, and also some passengers, making sure now that this line is not more than 20%, 25% longer than this other line going down here. Last look at the flow of goods, perhaps. See how this is working out for us. Just has to go over like this and see that everybody is getting what they need first, and then as one has done this, one should go and double check, because the lines doesn't always reveal everything. One has to go into this and see that at least there are no warning signs. And I don't like to have anything extra either. So now I see that, oh, salt, I forgot to check salt. And I'm going in here and see that, yeah, there's just one coming in and everybody else is going out. That's okay. That's good. Well, all right. I think that pretty much sums it all up. One can feel free to like and subscribe and leave some comments if anything is unclear. Of course, there are a lot to these games and such, but I'm trying to keep the video short, not too short, but a little bit short. Looking at all these different lines now. It's a lot to be said, but then I think we're going to sum it up and say goodbye, and I hope to see you next time around.